Listen, only to my dark-skinned supporters, I apologize humbly in the humblest of forms. I responded to a comment making fun of my abuse, and I went too low.
What's up, my friends, and welcome back once again to the Just Case and Bread. I'm your homegirl, I'm your tia, I'm your prima, I'm your friend, I'm your cousin, I'm whatever you need me to be down here at the Just Case and Bread. Now, I do want to throw a disclaimer into this video because the first part is going to be talking about how an adopted father became attracted to his daughter. And it's going to talk about inappropriate behaviors done by adults. If that is going to trigger you, go ahead and go to the second part, okay? Because I got some funny stuff coming up because, girl, guess whose girlfriend came out and spoke the truth about him? Aaron the plumber, from Pop the Balloon. I said, I knew that we were right about him. I knew we was right about him. He's sitting up there talking about, okay, Queen, you did me a favor, Queen. Okay, it's just y'all don't understand me. You know, I'm upper echelon. Yeah, and there were a whole bunch of dudes in my comments like, see, that's y'all ladies' problems. Y'all come across a man who got it all together, y'all don't know how to respect him. Y'all ain't never gonna have nothing. Yeah. This channel is not for you, okay? Go on over there with Fresh and Fit and them. Go find you a man podcast to be on. Go comment under some man stuff. Go replace a sink. That's what I want you to do. Go fix a tire. That's what I want you to do. Please make sure to follow our homegirls on their TikToks, their Instagrams. Their handles are down below. And like I said, fast forward to the timestamp that you want because that's in the description box too. Okay, also not too much on my hair, y'all, because I got to rebraid my hair today. But I wanted to give y'all this video because I was like, we gotta talk about it.
My adopted dad, like, that was the most traumatic. And get this, listen. Okay, so when he came over to my apartment to tell me that day. He like rang me up and he called me and he's like, hey, can I like come over and talk to you? And I was like, okay, sure. Had a gut feeling. Think that I'm crazy? Swear to God. Had a gut feeling. Get off the phone with him. I'm anticipating his arrival. I'm like peeping through the blinds. I have this gut feeling. I'm sick to my stomach.
Sounds like
anxiety. I go sit down. Hear the car door slam. Go look out the window. See him walking up. I know what the fuck he's gonna say. I know what he's going to say. And you're like, oh, Laura, how'd you know what he was gonna say? Because he did weird shit my entire life. And I gaslit myself into thinking that maybe it wasn't weird because I didn't have a dad, so I didn't know what that relationship was really like.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lived on the second story. He had to walk up 2 flights of stairs, knocked on my door. I'm sweating. Like, my anxiety, like, is so bad. I let him in. He sits down on one couch. Well, he's pacing a little bit, sits down on one couch. I'm sitting down on the other couch. And he's crying. And
Crying?
To think of,
especially when you already know what he
my adopted dad was born in the 60s. He was a country guy. He was like, you know how guys from the 60s are, how old dudes from the 60s are. So like, I think I maybe saw him cry like once ever. So I thought that he was having a mental breakdown and he couldn't even speak. And I was like, say it. I was like, just say it. Say what you're gonna say. Like, almost coercing it out of him because I was afraid that he wasn't gonna say it and I wanted to know what he was going to fucking say. I really should have recorded it, but
you wasn't even thinking about that, girl.
So he says, Laura, I'm in love with you. Look at me dead in the eyes with tears rolling down his fucking face. Knowing me, literally, I'm gonna have to show a picture of me whenever I was 6 years old, but I was like, he's known me since I was like as tall as my fucking knee.
Oh my God.
He's like, Laura, I'm in love with you.
That is
and I was
so
like,
nasty.
oh, I love you too.
Yeah,
and
like
he's
Dad.
like, no, I mean, I'm in love with you. Like, I would love to marry you.
Oof.
I'm telling
Girl, if that don't strike a nerve. I know a lot of us have been through SA as children by a distant family member or a family friend or something. I know I have. And a lot of the reason why I wanted to bring it to my channel too is because I feel like we just need to get comfortable talking about it. The young girl who we reviewed the other day, the 11-year-old who got pregnant, I feel like we need to make having conversations about sex, about attraction, about hormones, about what's inappropriate, what's not allowed. We need to make that more comfortable for kids to tell us, because then maybe we could do our little part in our homes to change kids getting pregnant, to change a lot of stuff, just starting with little things like this, like making it more of a comfortable conversation. And I feel like this man was looking at her since she was a child. He wanted to freak on her since she was a child. And how the mama didn't know, how the mama didn't catch on, I don't know. I feel like she was probably wanting love so bad that she was willing to sacrifice whatever to get that type of love. Similar to Janelle Evans. Now, David might not have touched on her son and touched on, their daughter or nothing like that. Might not have done that, but the emotional abuse that they had to go through in order for you to have a man is a lot. And you didn't know how to sacrifice your wants and desires for a man enough to say, oh, hold up. You ain't gonna be good for us. You ain't gonna be good for my kids, to give them the safety that they needed. And I feel like that's what situation she was in. If she had an adoptive father, I wonder if her mother put her up for foster care or put her up for adoption.
I'm freaking the fuck out in here, but it is also giving me clarification on everything that has happened throughout my time knowing him since I was 6 years old. I blacked out after that. I fucking blacked the fuck out. I remember him asking me, because I lived like 5 or 6 blocks away from my childhood home that I grew up in. Fuck. I remember him asking me to dinner because...
What?
It was the weekend. They were a horrible family, but one thing that they generally did was like Sunday dinners or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he asked me to dinner. And I'm sure I said like, yeah, or something like that. And then he walked out of my house and I locked every fucking lock on that door. And I went into my fucking bedroom and I locked that door and I hid under my blankets and I fucking sobbed my eyes out. I was like hyperventilating. I was like freaking out. I was in there for over an hour before I was able to like do anything else than that. And I texted my sister. At the time, I was married to a man. But anyway, I texted my
I was hoping you had a good support system.
And I was like, you're not going to believe this. If you don't believe this, I'm going to fucking leave you because this is fucked up. So I texted him everything. And before I gave him a chance to even read it or respond, I was like, no, fuck this. I need to talk to somebody. So I call him and I tell him every single fucking detail. Mind you, my ex-husband was not a good man either. Mm-hmm. That's girl, another story.
I'm so sorry.
Equally as traumatizing story. But anyway, I was on the phone with him and he was just like, he's like, Laura, you must be confused. Like, imagine a man sticking up for another fucked up man. But he's like, Laura, you have to be confused. There's got to be some. And he knows my history with these people and my adopted dad. But he's literally like, no, you're confused. There's no way. I hang up on him.
Yeah,
I call the most important person in my world, which is my little sister. Mm-hmm. And I tell her, and she's freaking the fuck out too. Because she has fucked up experiences. Okay, so where did I leave off? Okay, so I had told my little sister, we had a long conversation about what we should do. Mm-hmm. Because we assumed that if we told my adopted mom that she wouldn't believe us. We had told her about multiple incidences during our teenage years and childhood, and
she didn't believe you.
She didn't really believe us. One time she kind of did, but then she sat us down in the kitchen with them and she's like, this is what the girl said you did. Are you doing this? He's saying no, that we're mistaken, that we're wrong, that it wasn't intentional, da-da-da-da. And
what kind of position you got to be? You know, I'm always about beating up a bad mom. I'm always about slapping her out. I'm always about, if there was ever a fight conference that I could put together, it would be team good moms versus team moms who just don't care. And the one like this little stuff, why would you become an adoptive mother? And you know, I don't care what nobody say. You know how things are when you're an adoptive parent or when there's kids in the foster system. We've heard enough stories to know exactly what goes on. Why would you sit them down in front of their abuser and kind of be like, all right, so what's up? We airing this shit out or what? Like what's up? If kids are already in foster care, do you know they're already damaged? Do you know they're already looking for protection and safety of some sort? They're already looking for it. So you gonna sit up here and make them feel even more scared and probably change their story because they're like, well, I don't want to go back into, you know, such and such house. I mean, it is a little bit better over here. I just got to take a 36-year-old man looking at my booty, looking at my body, giving me compliments, and I'm only 12.
That was like the end of it. But the fact that she set us down in a room with him, we were scared shitless. Like, it was hard for us to, like, muster up the courage to, like, talk about it
you don't know what
with
gonna do
her,
to you.
let alone, like, in front of him, you know? So, in the end, we settled on telling her, despite our reservations. We just didn't know how she was gonna handle it. So, I called her and I let her know that I wanted to come over and talk to her, but I asked her if she would come to the back porch and be quiet. Like, our back porch was off our kitchen. It was like an indoor back. It's where our laundry room was, but a lot of important conversations were had out there. But so we get there. She is already waiting for us, and she's like, what do you guys want to talk about?
Felt like she had an attitude.
And I just spill it. I'm like, this is what happened. He called me. I ran through everything that I literally just told you guys.
Right now.
And she acted shocked. She seemed shocked, and
I don't believe her.
She was pretty upset by the information.
Or she probably was offended, jealous.
She said that she didn't act like she didn't believe me, which is crazy because she didn't believe me for a second of my fucking life. Generally, she wasn't a very nice or kind woman, so...
Have y'all ever seen those mothers who are jealous of their daughters? Like, they're jealous of their daughter's youth, their daughter's beauty, and this is before the daughter even recognizes that she has those things. So then the mother doesn't necessarily feed into that portion of her. Never tells her, I love you, never says that she's beautiful, she's smart, never says any of those things. So the girl grows up not really knowing that she is a beautiful girl. And then she doesn't understand that other people, other women in particular, I'm going to talk about other women in particular, old or young, will be jealous of that youth and that beauty. All along, this little girl's emotionally damaged to where she doesn't even recognize she has those two things. She's just trying to make sure she survives. She gets to eat that day. She gets to go to school because she's away from her abuser. You feel me? Like, I wonder if her adoptive mother was like that. Like, if she was like, look at you. You think you're so beautiful. You think you're so pretty because you got long hair. You think you're so beautiful, don't you? And she's like, yeah, I'm not surprised that he was attracted to you. What you telling me this for? Bitch, what? What?
I was fucking stunned that she did anyway. And she kept saying that she can't believe she didn't see the signs because she was a victim of child SA. She was, which is also not my story to tell, but
yeah.
And so she told us that she thought that we needed to leave, that she had to have a conversation with him, and they fought like crazy, like our whole childhood, and we just knew that it wasn't going to be good, so we excused ourselves. She ended up calling me the following day and saying that it's done. Like, she kicked him out, like, he's gone. And I'm like, where did he go? And she said, like, I don't fucking know, probably to Georgia, because that's where his family's from. He didn't actually have any family in the state that we lived in. All his brothers and sisters lived in a really small town in Georgia. So that's where he went to. And I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked by her doing that. She never, like, she did not protect us from anything our entire lives, no matter if we spoke up or not. And she actually was just as much of an abuser as he was. Like, the stories I have about her are...
I ain't gonna hold you. That makes me want to slap her. Because why now you listen to me? Now after you got sick and tired of this man, now you listen to her? Now you do. You already knew this man was no good when he was up in your household. I don't care what no woman say. You do have a woman instinct. Every single woman, black, white, orange, purple, blue, whatever color you are, you have a woman's instinct that tells you, this might not be right. This might not be it. Ooh, they might be telling me the truth about something. You have that. But this woman chooses until she's already an adult. Now she's having to protect herself. You wait until all the way then to be like, I believe you now. Oh yeah, I kicked him out because I believe you. You weak ass bitch.
Just as crazy and just as wild. Honestly, I feel like I handled that whole situation really well. But
you did.
Like a week after it,
really
I wasn't
did.
handling it very well.
Because you're dealing with the emotions,
I actually felt like I was like spiraling, and I was like full of anxiety, and I just wasn't doing good. So the phone calls that she was making to me, I wasn't answering the text messages, and she thought that she kept saying, are you blaming me? Do you blame me? Do you blame me? And yeah, I did. Like,
okay, right.
She lived with that man, I don't know, 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
She knew how fucking weird he was. She convinced him to shave our hair off my sophomore year, my little sister's senior year, to make us less attractive. Less attractive to a grown man.
I knew it.
So back to what I was saying, I wasn't answering phone calls and texts. I think I went over there once, and like I was there for a few hours, and the entire time we were talking about that situation, and I just didn't want to talk about it. So I just really wasn't talking to her that much. Well, when everything kind of settled back down, I have no perception of time, but I want to say 3-4 weeks later, I was ready to talk. I was ready to have a full-blown conversation. So
you had processed it.
My sister and I called, and our phone number was disconnected. The number that we use for like our Kroger and like Speedway pin, it was disconnected, and it hadn't been since the 90s. So we were a little bit freaking out. We didn't know what was going on. So we got in the car, we drove 5 blocks from where I lived, and we saw a U-Haul. When we saw the U-Haul, we could only speculate what was going on, honestly. I literally didn't know what was going on. I thought, oh, maybe my adopted dad is coming back to get all of his things, since he left in such a hurry. So that's what was going on in our head. Drove back home. We drive back like a week later, and the house was completely empty. No cars outside. So there was a pole barn in the backyard.
They ran
that was like packed to the brim with stuff because they were practically hoarders. They literally never threw anything away. So it was stacked up to the ceiling. So the door was open, nothing inside. So we like park, we get out, we're looking through the windows. It's spotless. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there at all. So after a little digging on my adopted dad's siblings' Facebook, we found out that they packed up our entire childhood home, took my little brother and my nieces and nephews, who I helped raise, and they dipped out of the state that we were living in and took off 15 hours away.
Dang!
Bought a campground, bought a compound, and that's where they resided.
What?
And that's where they continue to reside, not my adopted mom, because she passed away in July.
Praise God.
But
God work on time,
took my little brother that I also helped raise, and I haven't spoken to him again since I was 21.
We hope she ends up finding love in somebody who can provide her with a family who also loves her and takes her in like that's their own, because I feel like that would do her a world of good. And she seems like a woman who is well put together. She seems smart. She seems like she just got herself together. The only thing that she'll need is somebody who really, really loves her and is patient with her and kind with her and can fill that void of insecurity and, shakiness because you've been through so much as a child. On a lighter note, let's talk about Aaron the plumber. So on Pop the Balloon, on the last video we did, he was being mean. Was he a snapping turtle? He was being mean to the ladies. As soon as they were like, oh, no thank you, I don't want to talk to you, he'd be like, yeah, no thank you, I don't want to talk to you when I first got in this motherfucker, so I don't even know why you saying you don't want to talk to me when I did not want to talk to you first. Next contestant, please, queen. Well, girl, his ex-girlfriend came out and she said he crazy. She said he crazy. He used to try to track her down. He used to be calling her. He only spent about $30 in groceries on her. So what you talking about? You got 6 figures in the bank. Can you pull 100,000 out the bank? Can you do that? I can do that. You can't do that. Yeah, okay, and neither can you, judging by what your ex-girlfriend says, so let's be nosy.
All right, now that we opened the can of worms, let's go ahead and talk about part 1 of Watch Who the Fuck You Date. So his name is Aaron. Aaron is my ex. We dated for a few months and it didn't last very long, and let me tell you why.
Tell us, girl.
like insane. It's like he has that little person talking to him in the corner of his shoulder at all times. Like he's making up constant stories in his head about like that I'm cheating on him, that he's got to watch his back, that I have guys in my apartment at all times, and that I'm cheating while I'm at work, when I work in a clinic full of women, by the way. So let's take it back to the beginning. So again, we met. I lived in Arizona. He lived in New Mexico. And he said, oh, I have a friend that lives in Arizona. I was actually just there. I was like, oh, dang. Well, whenever you're down here again, let's grab dinner or whatever. He's like, all right. He ended up coming, and his plan was to end up moving to Arizona anyway with his friend, right? He ended up at my house so much anyway that I was just kind of like, I mean, you kind of already live here. His clothes was there, everything. So I was like, fuck it. Just, you know, that was my mistake. So my mom ends up making dinners for us all the time. We're Mexican. We make huge dinners. And the first time he went, he met the family and everything was cool. But when we left, my mom called me. She said, are you okay? And I said, what do you mean, am I okay? She said, well, I see something in his eye, like he wants to hurt you or like he wants to control you. I don't know how to tell you because I don't want you to think that I'm crazy. But I'm just telling you to be careful and really think about if this is the guy that you really want to be with. And I was like, well, I mean, it kind of is already in motion, you know, it's already happening. So then my mom invites us over for dinner again. I think it was the next day, and we play loteria. And I guess he was just like, no, I don't want to go. Like he started little by little, kind of not wanting to be around my family. And I don't know if you noticed that my family didn't really like approve of him or whatever. I'm not too sure. But anyways, that was a red flag number one. It's kind of like he was already trying to distance me from my own family. You know, like the only protection that I have had is from my family, and he was trying to move me away. So when I first started talking to him, I was talking to other people, as in I had a lot of guy friends. And I don't hang out with too many girls because sometimes it can get overwhelming and a lot of drama can start. So they would still text my phone, and of course, I talked to somebody else before I met him too. It kind of just ended up going in the direction with Aaron. And so they would text my phone, and he would check my phone every few hours. Every time a vibration would go off, every time I'd get a notification, he's looking.
You mean to tell me America's most eligible bachelor, the man who walked off with the baddest woman on Pop the Balloon, the man who is a plumber, the man who can take flights and do whatever he'd like, you mean to tell me he's showing all signs of an insecure man? He's showing all signs of an insecure man. That's what you mean to tell me? We checking phones? We sitting up there feeling uncomfortable to go to family's house? Oh, childish. Get your grown ass on in there and figure out why the mama don't like you. Because guess what? If you mess with her, you're going to have to mess with her family. She's already made it very clear that you cannot be with her without being with her family. And I love that. Kudos to her. Okay. I remember I was with an abuser, and I did not recognize that the first thing that they do, separate you from your family. Then you ain't got no support system. You ain't got no nothing. And then, especially if you got a nice family who's just like, you know, we're just concerned about you. It's not that we don't like him or anything. We're just concerned about you. And he like, oh, they don't like me. They hate me. They hate me. They hate me. Oh, do they hate you? Or do they just want to kind of figure out what you about? And now you're trying to manipulate and control me. And now I can't talk to my family. And you don't want to go to my mama's house to get some tacos because, you know, she done caught on to your bullshit. Okay.
And I mean, like, he wants to, like, literally do something to me. I don't know what was going on. It's just that look in his eyes, and you guys know because you have seen that look in the Pop the Balloon game, like this video that went viral. So he starts checking my phone every few hours. He starts to track my location. I gave him my location on my phone because I was like, I have nothing to hide, right? And I'm always either at work with him at home or with my family. So go ahead and go to part 2.
Okay, good.
All right, welcome back to part 2 of Watch Who You Date. We're talking about Aaron, the guy that went viral on Pop the Balloon game. So anyways, he starts to distance me from my family. He starts to track me. I give him my location because I had nothing to hide. Every time I would walk by the window, my location would show that I was outside. So he'd call me like, what are you doing outside? Who are you messing with at work? Why aren't you working? Like, that controlling, right? Then he starts doing pop-ups at my job, and it got so bad because he would show up in his work truck while he's supposed to be at work at my job that my supervisor had to keep watching me. We had to basically, like, everybody had to walk me to my car after work to make sure that I made it. And the girls would text me, hey, did you make it? Again, it's a clinic full of girls. So that was a red flag number 2. And then one time I walked outside to the cafeteria and he calls me and he's like, how did I know you were outside? So that in my head was like, circles are already turning. I go to my car to see if he put a tracker because he is capable of doing some shit like that. And I couldn't find anything. And then he pops up at my job like, don't break up with me. Don't do this. Like, I'll change. I thought I was going to catch you doing something. And I was like, how did you know I was outside, right? He said, I put my extra phone tracking you in your car and I left it on record because I was expecting to record you doing something, as in cheating on me or like messing around in your car. And I was like, I was done. I was completely done. I said,
absolutely not. You're recording my conversations and then you come back to me. I'm sorry, I'm crazy, please. I'll be crazy no more. Okay. I'm really sorry. I was tracking you since we first started dating. I put my spare phone in your car. Sorry. Get your crazy ass out my face before we start to do a stand your ground law around here. Okay? Go ahead, get out my face. Go back to work, turtle. Go back to the animal kingdom. Yeah.
Get your stuff, get out of my house, and come bring me my key. And he was like, no, I'm gonna change. Whatever. I went home. He was still there. He was like, let's try to work it out. I was like, you know, he already lives with me. He moved here, like whatever. And it was going, I was going to do it so bad. And then he went to go get coffee for me or something from Starbucks. And he was like, something's wrong with your car. And I was like, what do you mean something's wrong with my car? He's like, yeah, it started to act weird. And I was like, okay, hold on right there. My car, I have a 2019 Dodge Challenger. It's been perfectly fine. I kept up with the oil. I don't understand. All of a sudden, you're driving it and something's wrong with it. Go to part 3. Part 3, and this is the last part that I'm going to post about Aaron, the buff guy from Pop the Balloon Game and Watch Who the Fuck You Date. So,
yes, friend.
He was like, yeah, your car's acting funny. I was like, no. At that point, I was like, already get out of my house. Like, I don't want you here. You ain't paid one bill. You put $20 a light one time, and maybe you spent like $30 on groceries because I was gonna cook dinner one time. But my mama always told me, do not allow a man to come into your home and pay any bills, because then he's gonna feel like he has the right to either stay there or like, oh, I paid the rent, I live here too. But in our reality, everything that I had gotten was mine, and I didn't allow him any part of that. So I was like, all right, get out, whatever. He leaves. He still tried to contact me. I was like, no, get out. I grabbed my car. I went to my mom's house because I didn't want him to try to come back and to try to convince me. And that's what brings to like my mind all the time. Like, you guys tell people in abusive relationships all the time, like, you need to leave, thinking that it's easy for these women to leave. And it's not. Like, yeah, they've gotten hurt or whatever, but these women are completely head over heels in love with these men. So it's not easy to leave. So I did what I thought was best. So I went to my mom's house right after. And he's calling me like, dang, you're already at somebody else's house. You're already cheating on me. I was like, whatever. And on my way to my mom's, I start to feel that my car is starting to shake. I'm like, dang, like, what is it? I took it to 2 different mechanics that were like, it was the spark plugs, the ignition coils. I fixed that. And then I went to another mechanic because it started to shake again. And supposedly it was the same thing. They fixed that again. So I went to a 3rd mechanic and he's like, I think they might have put sugar in your gas tank, but I would need to take out the gas tank to make sure. And I was like, no, I don't think he would be capable of doing something.
Oh my God. Could you imagine the money you gotta spend to flush a 2019 Challenger? This ain't no 2002 Oldsmobile. This ain't no 1997 Hyundai. This is a girl.
Thing like that, whatever. So I couldn't find what was wrong with it. At this point, I had moved out already because I was so scared. My mom had let me borrow money because I needed to move out before my lease was up, so he didn't know where I lived. I moved apartments. So at this point, I went and got a new car. I went to the dealership and I got a new car. I changed my car. And when I asked him, hey, did you ever find out what was wrong with my Challenger? He said, yes, there was sugar in the gas tank. So this man that claims to be very godly and studies the Bible and, you know, practices this religion.
Yeah.
Put sugar in my gas tank, tracked my car, put a phone to record me in my car. And I would do things like say everything he needed to hear, like, yeah, I cheated on you. Like, because I was so scared of him being crazy. Like, this guy has a record. You guys don't know that. You guys really need to be careful who you make famous on this app. I don't want to say anything else because I feel like I already opened up a big can of worms. If you guys have any questions, I'll answer them. But I don't want to make this any more parts.
The signs be there. The signs be there. Beware of thine signs, because there they shall be. Comment down below what you think. I did not know this video was going to be full of so much, like, just good information for all of us, young, old, whatever. Good reminders that we are to set boundaries, we are to have standards, we are to pay attention to the red flags. I have been the Just Kason brand. I am so glad that you tuned in. Please make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.